Hey guys, this is Simon from Frozen Card Gaming, and I'm here today to show 6 standard Infernoble combos that I think should be common knowledge going forward. These are likely to be newer Infernoble combos that you may not have seen in videos before, so if you've been looking for Infernoble combos before this, you're probably familiar with the kind of the quote-unquote standard ones that summon Oliver off of Isolde and you go into the Savage Charles board. So these have been covered in really good detail by some great YouTuber channels like MSTTV, PAX channel, and Aether Gaming, to name a few. And they're also covered in text form over at Road of the King, so I won't be going over any of those in this video. These are all going to be kind of newer ones that we developed for the LCS, and now that LCS 5 is over, it seemed like a good time to kind of publish these resources. So these are going to be kind of more basic combos. There are some more intricate ones that I won't be showing off just yet. So for example, there are some Violon Sphere combos that we worked on that gets 3 disrupts off of Isolde with minimal changes. There's some Hyper Librarian combos where you draw 3 cards, and there's combos you can do when you open O-Line, which is pretty much the only hard guarded in the deck. And I don't have time to show all these today, but if there's interest in them, you can leave a comment just letting us know that you want to see that so I can make a follow-up video. But yeah, so starting off, this is going to be the basic Fibrax combo without using Link Cross, and the reason for that is because you typically go through Isolde and Link Cross in the regular combo before you make Fibrax, so we won't be using Link Cross. There's other more complicated versions that go into stuff like Formula Synchron and Charge Warrior that require Link Cross, but I won't be showing those in this video. So we're going to start with any 2 cards that get to Fibrax. Typically it won't be these 2, but this is just kind of showing an example that just Fibrax and nothing else will get you there. So we're going to summon Jet, we're going to go into Auroradon, summoning 3 tokens. And then we're going to attribute 2 of the tokens to summon O-Lion. Normally you attribute Auroradon itself, but in this combo, when we're going for Charles, you would end up with an extra token for no reason. So instead you can just leave the Auroradon on field and attribute the tokens instead. And we're going to go into Roland with the token and the O-Lion, using Roland's effect to search as Chainlink 1, and O-Lion's effect to summon a token as Chainlink 2. We're going to go into any level 8 synchro here. So Omega is the standard one, and it's probably the best one, because you can use this in the Outlet matchup to shuffle back cards like their Scarlet Sanguine. You can use it in other matchups to just shuffle back your graveyard, and you can also recycle your own cards like Halka Fibrax with it. And so we're just climbing into Charles, and Omega basically replaces itself. Another option you have is the Chaos Roller Synchro from Rise of the Duelist, but this is going to be covered in a later video, so don't worry about it. We're going to pitch a card in hand to summon back Jet, so we're going to go into Charles off of this. And then going to the end phase, Roland will add a Warrior and build Smoke Grenade, and then Charles will equip Oliver to itself and Smoke Grenade from the graveyard. This will trigger Charles, and you'll pop Smoke Grenade to loop a card from their hand. So this is the standard combo of just Isolde. You get a hand loop and full knowledge of their hand, and on their turn you have Roland to equip the Charles in the main phase and pop a card. So you could go into Savage and Herald off of just this combo, which you're probably familiar with if you've seen kind of combos from before Link Cross release, when both Adamancipator and Outlet were playing this. But you could make an argument that the hand loop plus the Charles pop is stronger than Savage Herald because you gain full intel, you know exactly what to disrupt, and you know their best card, and you get to take it out of it. So this is going to be the second combo. It's a basic combo off of just Isolde, and you need any way to get into Isolde pretty much. There's no requirements for this. So we're just going to use 2 Flint Ladies here as an example. Go into Isolde. You'll use the effect to add. Sometimes you won't. The most common case for this happens is when you have an Equip Engrave and Gearfried in hand, and you want to summon Gearfried, and you don't want to randomly lose Isolde to a Gamma or an Ogre or something. So sometimes you don't add, but usually you do, so I'll add a Gearfried for next turn. You can also add a Connector or whatever. And if you have Gearfried up during this combo, it doesn't change at all. It only uses 4 main monster zones, so you can just have a Gearfried sitting there and you'll be totally fine. We're going to mill Durandal and Phoenix Blade. The reason we mill Durandal is because this combo makes Charles. So when Charles survives until the opponent's end phase, it can equip the Durandal to itself, and you'll have it for your turn 3. But this doesn't matter that much, and if you open other equips, you can always send those instead. So we're milling 2 to summon Genba here. We're going to mill the Phoenix Blade as well. This is a card to add back, and it's important for later on. Genba is just a level 2 Fire Warrior tuner. That is the only reason it's in the deck. Its effect is pretty much irrelevant. And we're going to go into link cross 2 tokens. We're going to make Marcher with Genba and 1 token and summon back the Genba. Now, you've probably seen in other combos that people will make Tatsunoko with the Genba and the other token, and they'll synchro the Tatsunoko with a red layer in hand that they added off Isolde, and they'll make Savage Dragon to protect their fiber from being negated or whatever. So the problem with this is that the Savage effect, they can chain Nibiru to it, and it clears your whole board. And then not only do you have just the token, you have your Savage, Tatsunoko, and Red Layer that are all kind of wasted resources that are now in your graveyard. So it's intensive on your extra deck, and you kind of waste your Isolde ad. Instead, what you can just do here is just go Herald plus, or Marcher plus a token into Herald, and it's the exact same thing, but it's much, much fewer resources. And it doesn't give them a window to Nibiru you on the Savage effect, but they know they have to. They have to kind of preemptively Nibiru here, or else you make Herald. And just having that pressure that threatens Herald is important in a lot of the time. So now that we have Herald up, we have a tuner and a non-tuner. Not that the non-tuner part's important. We'll just go straight into Fiber. And we'll do exactly the same combo that we did before. Go into Auroradon, 3 tokens. We'll tribute 2 of the tokens, some of the O-Line like before. Go into Roland, use the effective Roland and the effective O-Line, make Omega. And the reason we mill Phoenix Blade here is we're going to banish 2 equips to add back the Phoenix Blade, so we can pitch it for Jet. And the reason the Phoenix Blade is important is because Herald will banish any monster you send from the hand to the graveyard, and Jet has to pitch a card to the graveyard as cost. So you have to have a spell trap to pitch off of Jet, and Phoenix Blade is just a free spell trap you can add back in this case. So you'll pitch to Phoenix Blade for Jet, bring it back. You'll make Charlemagne. You go into the end phase, add a Warrior, mill Smoke, equip Oliver. Equip Smoke, use Charles to pop Smoke, and you'll hand loop them. So the nice part about Herald here is that Smoke Grenade will destroy a card in their hand, and if that card is a monster, it'll get banished by Herald. So if you're up against that Emancipator and you see a Block Dragon, for example, you can snipe the Block Dragon and it'll get banished. So that's very strong. And if you compare this to kind of the standard combo, the regular combo will have a Savage Dragon here instead. So we'll compare the pros and cons of that. Herald has the Macrocosmos-like effect, where you'll banish during the hand loop, and also it'll be continuous during their turn. This is relevant against, for example, Dinosaur. They can't miss Lanosaurus. This is relevant against Outlich. They can't Golden Lord from hand. And Herald will also negate and then destroy the card that negates, whereas Savage doesn't do that, so it removes a body, which can be relevant a lot of the time. There's an OCG tech as well, where people will try to tech Super Poly against this deck, and they'll fuse your Charles and your Savage into Dragon Knight Draco Request. If you end with Herald instead, they can't do that, and you can just completely ignore Super Volley if they have it in their hand to outro board. That's another kind of minor thing. Finally, one of the outs, I guess, to Herald is they'll try to normal summon a monster, and they'll try to run over it by battle. What you can simply do is you'll just roll an effect, equip the Charles, and the pop will just out the monster that tries to attack over it. So the only benefits of Savage, really, are that it has more attack, but the attack's not that relevant because you kill them turn 3 extremely commonly with this setup. You just make access code and they die. And the other part is that Savage technically does get 2 negates, whereas once you use Herald's negate, it's gone. And so if you're up against like a trap deck, the Savage having 2 negates could be relevant, but you have a really strong matchup against trap decks anyway. Charles kind of single-handedly solos those decks by himself, so that's not really that big of a deal. So this is the standard Isolde combo off of just Isolde. You get a lot of follow-up for next turn, and you have a very strong setup of Herald Charles, and the Herald was made quite early. So, yeah. This is the third combo. It's going to be Super Quantum Red Layer plus any way to get to Isolde. It's very common in this deck that you'll have extra bodies and not really be sure what to do with them. And so this is just going to be one showcase of how you can turn those bodies into extra negates and free advantage. The reason I chose Red Layer is because I think it's one of the best extenders in the deck. So I personally play 3. It has a lot of other benefits as well. One reason is that it doesn't activate the summon compared to something like Shade Brigandine, and this is pretty good against cards like Shadal Schism summoning Winda. Another reason is that Red Layer has 2,000 attack, which means it can beat over IP Masquerena, Herald, and Ecclesia, which is important when you're playing around Fleur-de-Lis against the Dogma deck. So we're going to start off here just special summoning Red Layer, going to Isolde. You've seen all of this before, so this is just going to be the standard Isolde combo up until we summon Auroradon pretty much. So So we're going to zoom through that. We make Herald early again as well. Summon Jet, go into Auroradon, summoning 3 tokens. And so here, we're going to attribute Auroradon itself and a token to summon the O-Lion, because now we're going to make use of that extra body that we have, and we no longer need the Auroradon on the field. So we're going to summon O-Lion, we're going to go Roland, use both the effects of Roland and O-Lion. And here we're going to turn Roland and a token into Savage. Savage is going to equip the Auroradon, getting 3 negates. And we still have the Jet Synchron in the graveyard. Because we have the Herald, we need to make sure we pitch a spell trap for it, so we're going to do the same play where we add back the Phoenix Blade, pitch it for Jet. And now the Jet plus level 3 token and the level 5 red layer are going to go directly into Charles here. So we've very effectively converted this red layer into just another free body, and we have a Savage Dragon on top of the previous board. So we're going to equip Oliver, equip Smoke, pop the Smoke, and that is that. The next combo is going to be when you open Oliver in addition to your Assault combo, and this plays through Nibiru, so I'm going to show how you do that right now. You're going to start in the same way as before, going into Assault, adding your Gear Freezer connector, going to Equips to summon Genba. You're going to go into your Marcher play and attempt to make Herald here. So if they have Nibiru, it's forced out here, because otherwise you're just going to make Herald with your Marcher and your token. If they do Nibiru you, what you're going to do is you're going to add back your Phoenix Blade, and then Oliver can simply pitch Phoenix Blade. And since Oliver is a tuner, you'll use Oliver and the Nibiru token to go into Fibrax, and then do the same combo as the first combo I showed that ends on Charles plus Smoke Grenade. And so that allows you to establish Charles plus a Hand Rip, plus the roll and pop for next turn through the Nibiru. So this is just a very simple way of playing through a Nib. And any tuner extender that you can summon after Nibiru will also do the job. So, for example, if you play Emergency Teleport and you have Gamma in your deck, for example, that is a very easy way to kind of just go into Fibrax after all this. If they don't Nibiru you, you're going to turn your Marcher and your token into a Herald as normal, just as insurance. And you're going to proceed with your Fibrax combo. And this will be mostly the same as before. But once we get here, we're going to tribute the Auroradon, because since we have an extra tuner body, we can make use of the extra level 3 token we're going to have. So we're going to tribute Auroradon, go into Roland, use Roland and O-Lion, go into Omega, pitch the Phoenix Blade to summon back Jet Synchron. We're going to go into Charles here. Now what we want to do is we want to summon Oliver at this point, and we could add back Phoenix Blade again, but what we can do is just use Roland's effect to equip itself onto Charles. And then we'll just send the Roland to graveyard to summon the Oliver from hand. And so this just kind of saves having to banish 2 more warriors with the Phoenix Blade. It's a cute little trick. There's really no reason to banish extra warriors, so you'll just do it this way. And with the Oliver, who is now treated as a level 1 tuner, we'll synchro it with the level 3 token into a second Herald of the Arclight. This is not a once per turn card, so this is just an extra negate for free. And then in the end phase, we'll do the same old equips. Remember to equip Oliver from the graveyard to your Charles, and then you can get an Ogier from the deck, so this guy is now untargetable and indestructible, and then you'll handle him with Smoke. And you get this very nice symmetrical board. And so Double Herald is definitely one of the more conservative routes. You can go into bigger and more flashy combos, such as the Librarian combo that I talked about in the beginning of this video, but those will be shown in a later video. Again, leave a comment if you want to see those. For now, I'm just showing off this kind of very simple way to just establish an extra negate off of opening Oliver. This next combo is going to be very similar to the previous combo, but instead of Oliver, we open Renaud. And this also plays through Nibiru, but it's going to be slightly different because it matters which equips you now dump off of Isolde. So we're going to go straight into Isolde at Gearfried, and instead of milling Durendal here, we're going to mill Phoenix Blade plus Living Fossil. So these two we're going to summon Genba, and now we're going to summon Renaud, since Genba is a Fire Warrior, and Renaud is going to add back the Fossil. And so what this does is that if they Nibiru us, we have Fossil to bring back a tuner, and we'll go straight into Fibrax after Nibiru. So this basically ensures that no matter what, we'll end on at least Charles plus a Hand Rip. So Nibiru is again forced here, or else we'll just make Herald. And if they don't Nibiru you, obviously you just make Herald, and then you proceed exactly like before. We'll summon Auroradon. We'll summon O-Line into Roland into Omega. And note that Renaud is level 1 tuner, so we can add on the exact same double Herald plus Charles play as before. We'll add back Phoenix Blade, pitch it for Jet, and summon 2 Herald. And again, this is a more conservative version of this combo. We do have the Fossil, but we're actually not going to use it at all if we don't get Nibiru'd. This is going to be for the turn 3 push that will probably just kill them. Again, there are more intricate versions of this combo that I will not be showing here, but I could show in a follow-up video. In the end phase, just equip Oliver, equip Smoke, pop Smoke, hand loop them, and you are all set. This is going to be the last combo I show today. It's going to be the same hand as before, where you have Renaud in addition to your Isolde combo. But this is going to show how to double Smoke Grenade the opponent while still making a Herald early and having more or less protection from common hand traps. So you would only do this route if you're not really afraid of Nibiru. One option is if you already have an Oliver in hand that plays through the Nibiru. Another one is if you've seen their hand with Connector or through Tactical Talents, and you note that they don't have it. So you would start the combo in the same way as before. Note that we sent Smoke Grenade here instead of Fossil because we're going to add this back so we can pop it with a Auroradon later. We're going to go with the same standard Herald play, summon the Renaud, add back Smoke Grenade, and we're going to make Fibrax, but we're going to use Renaud as a tuner in this case, and we're going to keep Genba on the field. And this is important because Genba is a level 2 tuner, and because we're using Auroradon's effect to pop Smoke Grenade, we're not going to be able to get O-Lion. So we need a level 2 tuner to make Roland here. So we're going to summon 3, we're going to equip Smoke Grenade to anything, and then we're going to use Auroradon's effect, tributing 1 token to pop the Smoke Grenade. And that's going to be the first hand loop. And it will get banished under this Herald. So both hand loops in this combo will end up being banished if they are monsters. With Genba and the other Auroradon token, we're going to go into Roland. And then with Roland and the last token, we're going to go into Omega. Add back Phoenix Blade, pitch it for Jet, and then Charles. And then go to the end phase. We'll add Renaud, mill any equip Oliver, and then equip Smoke Grenade, and finally we'll use Charles to pop Smoke Grenade a second time, triggering it again, and we'll hand loop 2 cards with this combo. So this is a very simple way to rip 2 cards and still end on the same kind of 2 disrupt board with 1 Omni Negate and a kind of Macrocosmos applying with setup for next turn. So I hope you enjoyed these pretty simple, basic Infernoble combos. If you want more content like this, leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.